Hey friends, you got Renee Rivera here at Mold Mending. So I wanted to chat with you about something that maybe you're going through as well. Ever try a supplement? I'm going to show you which one it is, but ever try a supplement and get a bad reaction from it and have learned that many supplements you're getting reactions from, and so you have to do your own protocol. So I guess I wanted to come on and just share with you, what do I do for my protocols, because I have such a hypersensitivity even to supplements that are supposed to be good for me that fall in the range of my food list, very limited amount of items that I can have. I stay away from things that are fermented, anything with gluten in it, non-GMOs. I make sure it's virgin, all that good stuff, that it's USDA approved. But I find that when I need to start a new supplement, like my doctor has suggested that because I have the low immunity right now, it's very depleted, that I needed to start with a vitamin C and a zinc and a D. Well, I had to remind them that, last time we did that D, no go, it was not good. And I'm not willing to go through that again. So we need to come up with a different way, which would be going out in the sun, getting that kind of exposure, or trying another way of getting that vitamin D in my system. But today was actually about the vitamin C. I think I said A earlier, but it's actually vitamin C that I just introduced. And I did quite a bit of research too, to make sure that the source of this vitamin C was from like berries that I actually can have, but it also had other berries I haven't had. So I researched those berries, what their sugar content was, because those of us with mold illness, we also deal with that co-infection of candida, which also means we have to stay away from sugar, as well as even natural sugars in many foods we have to stay away from. So because of that, I research everything that goes in my body, especially if it's in a bottle or a supplement form, to make sure there's no fillers in there, no extra sugars or false sugars like maltodextrin, whatever. So I really researched this well, thinking, well, this sounds like it would absorb in the body fastest, and the fruits from it had a very low sugar content. So it was equal to the berries that I use, the blueberries and the blackberries, the mulberries that I can have, and the raspberry. They were very low on the sugar content. So I thought, let me try that. So I'm going to read some of these berries, and so you know what I'm talking about. It says camu berry extract, manioc root, acerola cherry extract, amla berry extract, buckwheat berry, freeze-dried berry blend of blueberry, raspberry, cranberry, cherry rosehip, lemon peel, black pepperberry extract. So I read those and didn't look like they were alarming, that would give me any kind of reaction. So bought it. And because I'm such a high sensitive person when it comes also to supplements, let's say that I'm told to do a teaspoon a day. Well, I don't start on a teaspoon a day. I start with like an eighth of a teaspoon a day. And what's the word? I slowly ramp up to the actual usage that I'm told to do. So if it's 3 teaspoons a day, honestly, I will start at that fourth or a half a day. And then after a couple of days, and if I notice no reaction on that very small amount of it, I will then increase and then increase until I'm full dosage. And because of that, what is recommended for me to do, it could take me 1 to 2 months to actually get myself, even sometimes longer than that, get myself all the way up to the full amount suggested before I'm going regularly on that amount. So it takes me time because of that sensitivity. So with this vitamin C, had to do the same thing. So it suggested a teaspoon. But what I chose to do was I started out with an eighth of a teaspoon one day. And I started it at nighttime. I took it with my nighttime supplements, thinking maybe there'll be less of a reaction if there is one. And I found I went from an 1/8 to a 1/4 of a teaspoon. I increased it within a week's time frame. And I will be honest, for 2 weeks straight, almost 2 weeks straight, I had this itch that just started coming up just at my spine. And one day when I took it towards the end, I noticed even on my side, right here, I got this little, I'll call it a strawberry patch. And it was familiar to, I never get any itch there or any kind of patch there, except last time I noticed that happened was my husband had asked me to pick up some food for him, and it was a strawberry soda to pick up for him. I don't drink sodas. So I picked myself up just a cup of water in a straw, and I put, his in the front console hole to hold it, and I put mine in the back console hole. Driving home, and I went to grab mine, which I thought was mine, went and took a swig. I had to pull over and spit because it was strawberry soda in my mouth. And the last thing I wanted is my body to have havoc because I had soda. And unfortunately, I did get a little bit of that swallow before I did the spit out my window. And then I had this big strawberry patch on the side of my, what'd you call it? My torso, on the side of my torso. And it was not a comfortable feeling for quite a while. So I tried this vitamin C, and at the end of that, somewhere in that first week, it was showing up. I thought it was at the end of the week, but it was actually it was in the first week. I saw that patch happen right there. So because of that itch, also, I was trying to decipher. That's one thing about those of us with mold illness, we have to be our best sleuth. So I was trying to decipher, where's this itch coming from? What did I do? What was different? What's in my environment? So I always would go down these lists of things. Is there a different soap that I did? Did I switch out from, a bar that's used up to a new one? No. Did I use a different laundry soap? No. Did I go into a place that might have caused the itch? No. I've been home. Have any kind of lotion? Did I try a different kind of food? So I was going through my basic list that I'll go through, and no, nothing new. The only thing new, well, I take that back. There were 2 things new. I had an avocado again, and I haven't had that in a long time. And we had a snowstorm. So there was a lot of snow outside. And previously in winter times, I could get itchy skin because of the dryness that the snow would create. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not. So what I chose to do was get off of this vitamin C for a week, see if that itch clears up. There's still snow outside. Yes, it's melting, but I'm trying to decipher which one is it. Is it winter that's making my skin itch, or is it this vitamin C causing this reaction of this itch up my back? And honestly, by the end of the first week and going into the second week, the itch was so severe, I needed to have my husband put lotion on my back every night. And so the reaction was coming quite quickly. And again, I was taking it at night, and I would say within 2 hours, just this crazy itch would be going up and down and across the bottom of my back to where I was just lathering it with my tallow lotion like crazy. And I honestly was like, is this an eczema flare up from the winter, from it just being no hydration in the air? What is it? So I got off of the vitamin C. Well, I have been itch free for a week. And thought, okay, I'm still not sure if it's winter, snow, and non-hydration in the air, or that humidity lacking in the house, because I will not put that extra in there, or is it that supplement? So I went and took 1/8 of a teaspoon yesterday, and today I did it again. But I chose, instead of at nighttime, that this week I would try it in the morning. Today, I'm telling you, I took that teaspoon, and in less than an hour, I was feeling it. Less than an hour, it was like a bullet. How can I say? It was like a bullseye mark on my back that was itching again. And I think the first time I tried it, I actually had this weird itch on my arm. So I now have another supplement can't do because I finally ruled it out. Being the sleuth that I am, and then also retrying it to see if, maybe it would be different. And I took it also right before food, also thinking maybe that would help with the absorption, but the itch is still there. So bye-bye supplement. And I did the test on it and it did not pass. So I don't know how much less that I can take than 1/8 of a teaspoon for it to be potent, but I obviously took the chance. These ingredients aren't going to work for me. So now it's time to go back to the, the drawing board, find a different vitamin C that's going to be more complementing to my skin and my body. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because you might be running into that as well. I run into quite a bit when I'm told, okay, now the part of the protocol is let's start this. And I find I cannot do it gung-ho as it's prescribed. My doctor also understands it and she knows that I'm ramping up to full dosage. She also will make a suggestion of which one is most pure. So she helps me with that deciphering, making it easier. She's also given me a local compounding pharmacy. So it's another little tip for you is find a pharmacy that's local or one that you can call up and question them about the ingredients that are in things. So maybe you don't have to strain your eyes on reading everything. That is one thing I have had to learn in this process. I got to read everything. If it goes in my body and if it's in a package, it has to be read. It is what it is. So what else? Trying different times of day and even trying sometimes if it's a capsule versus a powder, sometimes it reacts different as well. Like one example I'll throw out there is the cholestyramine. It was tough because I had to get it compounded, received it in a big bucket as powder, couldn't handle it that way. I mean, it was so hard to get it down my throat and all that. So I did some research, found out we could put it in some beef gelatin tablets and actually pack it in ourselves. And so my husband and I did. Dude rocks. Thank you, Eddie. And I was able to consume the amount needed as I ramped it up, even with that, and not have that gagging reflex, not have the chalky feeling of that product going down. Anyway, so those are just some tips to throw out at you and to also share. I feel you if you're going through this and having to decipher what works, what doesn't. It is just part of our journey. And just to encourage you to not be discouraged in that there's another way, there's another something else. If one thing doesn't work, talk to your doctor so they can suggest something different for you. Maybe it's something topical, or maybe it's something a different time of day. Maybe it's something that needs to be sprinkled on your food or done in a drink because you can't do it another way. So there's alternatives. So just don't give up. And know I'm rooting for you. Okay. So chat with you later. Bye.